whatever milestones that Black people make against hate, it ends up benefiting all the other people of color. I can't see what his end game is. The Republican Party is the party of racism, is the party of white supremacy, is the party of hate. This is wrong, and it needs to stop.
Everybody wants to go back and drag that piece of history up, but they don't want to go back and deal with what their ancestors did to the indigenous people and to Black people in this country. You got to go. And you got billionaires talking about going to space and Jeff Bezos, go, never come back. I hope you get lost. This man has lost his mind.
Boom! Come on, girlfriend. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also host the only online show in the world for fathers and dads. That is sponsored by Dove Men Care and Dad Central. And through those efforts with those organizations, I've been able to reach out to over 75,000 fathers worldwide this year. And I appreciate that, and I don't take it for granted. Also, I am the board chair for the Global Food and Drink Initiative. It's a multimedia not-for-profit that showcases Blacks in the diaspora that are doing their thing in food, wine, and travel. And as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Usually we do State of Things on Saturday night, but the weather, Mother Nature's in control these days. So Jill was having some challenges with being too hot in Cali. Aisha, too much storm. So we're doing it here on Sunday night. And thank you for the people that are here. But you're not here to see and listen to me. These are the people you're wanting to hear and listen to. So they are here with us, as a Van Halen song would say, right here, right now. What's going on, ladies? Jill, you are on mute.
Now I'm
you
not.
Are. There you go. How we doing, ladies?
Good. Very good. I mean, it's not so hot here today, so no outages. Everything seems like you got to stay on your toes.
Yeah, big time.
In this economy and climate.
This economy, this climate, this everything. So, Aisha, are the storms gone away?
Yeah, it was just cloudy here today. No rain and no wind. It was just cloudy all day. So it was much better. It's like the second weekend that we've had Wi-Fi outages because of the tropical storm last weekend.
Oh, God. Crazy.
They thought it was going to be a hurricane. Thank God it wasn't.
And you were having power outages in your place of the world, Jill?
Yeah, I think everybody had their ACs on. Like, I apparently am always in the top percentile of using my AC. They send you even notices like, you're in the top percentage of people in your neighborhood using the most power.
Gosh.
I'm like, oh, great. Well, I'll make up for it by, buying in bulk and, I try to offset my carbon footprint. But I don't know. It's been hard this year. Challenging times. times.
I mean, I've got my AC up pretty high right now. It's 75 degrees outside, but it's a humid 75.
Well, we've had where I am living, we have only had a spattle of rain over the last 2 weeks. Like cows could make a living on my front lawn.
Whoa, really?
It's really, really just.
Oh my gosh.
It's been really bad. Like this summer, we had 3 heat waves, but this one's really significant because it's gone on for about 2 weeks.
Are you having droughts?
Yeah, like for example, we've had heat warnings in the Toronto area for the last 5 days. So that means 30 degrees Celsius, which is 86 degrees Fahrenheit, plus humidity, which pushing it to 40 degrees.
Awful.
It's ridiculous.
And
like
see, we've been going crazy from like 93 to 60, and then it'll go to 70, and then it'll be 90.
We don't. No,
it's been insane.
No, nighttime temperatures only get down to like 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and then there's humidity. That's it. Doesn't go it like 60s. No, it does. It just doesn't.
Ours were not hitting the 60s either. It was like, if I wanted to do any baking, I may have had a half an hour break at 2 or 3 in the morning, and it just kept ramping up. I mean, I think I went in my car and it was 105 or 104.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, so yeah, it was pretty bad.
Well, let's
bad.
let's shout out our family. Black Beauty, hello.
Hey,
Jen Myers, hello.
hey Jen.
Hey, Jen.
Hi.
Here's someone
I
I
saw
haven't.
you today, Jen.
And I don't know who this is.
Green-eyed baby.
I
Yes.
have no
Hello.
idea. Hi from Florida. Hope everyone's
Hi.
well. Brand new.
Yes.
And Blue Rains. Hello,
Blue.
everybody. So we're loving it. I know we're on a different night this week. So
yeah, sorry about that.
hey, no problem. That's all right.
Mhm.
That's all right. No problem. And just FYI for everybody, next weekend's a long weekend. So we'll see what happens. Let's see that.
Right. That's right.
Next weekend is a long weekend because I am probably going to be, well, maybe I can do it. I'll be in the province of Quebec in Montreal next weekend.
Nice.
So maybe, we'll be able to, we should be able to do it. We should be able to do it next weekend from the province of Quebecois. So let's get down to.
Très bien.
Très bien.
Yeah,
Très bien.
I'm not doing anything next weekend but braiding hair.
Hey, before we go any further, memories of our show last week. Ask us anything. Any thoughts?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I had a good time. That was such fun.
I did. I actually.
It was great.
Yeah, Jen Myers is a friend of mine, and she was telling me today that she really enjoyed it, and the questions were really great.
Wonderful.
They were. It was really good to get to know everybody.
True.
More.
Yes, because folks, we don't get a chance to talk like visually outside of the show. We of course are using the back channels of Twitter and all that stuff, but there was a lot of things that I'm sure a lot of people didn't know about me that I just shared just openly, and I just said we're going to at least do that once a quarter, folks. At least once a quarter. Yeah. So I think it's really good, and we're always looking for people to come on if you want to join us too. Yeah. Just saying.
Yeah, Jill and I get to talk in the offline and stuff. All right. We don't get to really have that kind of chat with you.
Okay, Jen is saying yes, loved that show. Beautiful. Thank you. All right, let's get to some conversation topics. Oh boy. Afghanistan.
Well, I think we knew it was going to devolve into that. I don't think that was a surprise. Unfortunately, we just aren't in any position we're not in any position really to do anything other than get out. It's like, I understand, but people America's not that country anymore. It's not. I don't know what else is going on without bringing more men in. We only had 2,500 men in there since Trump took them out, took about 5,000 or 7,000 out in December of 2020. So that's not who we are. We're going through a different kind of rebranding. And, I had told you guys a long time ago that even the ambassadors from other countries were saying, America is not going to police the world. And I also feel that from that comment, that was key of what our allies were thinking, that they're not going to just follow us blindly and, oh, we got your back since whatever. Those days are gone. Donald Trump ruined all of that. And I really do feel that we're just in a very different time. There's been a real shift in everything, and allegiances are not going to be based just upon the mere fact of your yesterday with somebody. It's not.
Yeah. 20 years is a long time to have people continue to have faith in you and to not see any progress. It's like we've been there almost 20 years, and there was no end game. And a lot of our allies were hoping that there would be an end game, that we at least had that kind of plan. And we assured them that there would be one. And that's part of the problem, is that we haven't kept our promises. So why would we expect our allies to really, want to step up and want to be there and want to support us in the same way? Is that we've kind of, in some ways, let a lot of people down, and Donald Trump made it even worse by just doing what he did in terms of pulling people out. And it was all because of his personal allegiances with the Taliban.
Well, releasing 5,000 Taliban people from jail basically destroyed us in the war. The war ended then. Yeah. That's when we lost, was when he did that. You don't release the people that we sent and sacrificed our men and women to put them in jail. He made life more dangerous for everybody living there. And he also put our men and women at risk again. This is his fault. It's very simple. Mm-hmm. This war has nothing to do right now with what's going on. Is Donald Trump released 5,000 criminals, Taliban. He let them go. This is like, that's where it starts. It's like we had been there 16 years or 17 years by the time he came in or whatever, and he lets them go.
Well, it's like it's like with any gang. They re-up when you let them go. They get out of jail or out of confinement or out of whatever, and they re-up together, and they just have a new plan of how to attack.
But that was part of his plan with Russia. That was it. That was the tip. And they need to keep going down the road and investigating that man, because that was part of it. Just like what he did with the Turks, because when the Kurds, that was another disruptor. You can't see somebody doing the same thing a couple of times, and then it's like you suddenly don't realize this is sabotaging me. You know, that's what he did. He was the saboteur. He was the saboteur. He was there to get rid of everything and mess up and invite people for a party up in wherever they go. I'm sorry to be so rude, but it's absolutely unacceptable. And there's a special place in hell for him, because that is what he did. And when he let 5,000 of them go, that was when he all over every soldier that we had who lost their lives or sacrificed their lives. So as far as I'm concerned, he's the one who deserves the slap if you see him out.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like he did this without any kind of planning, like he did with everything.
Oh, he planned it. He knew he had the power to disrupt it, and he knew they were going to get the band back together. He knew it.
Well, he knew that, but without any what Americans would have considered a visible plan of anything. He had his side plan. He had
that 20. How many tons of gold do we have of theirs? Exactly. So what really? There was a plan to get that. That was the ultimate plan. I still don't know what the details were, but all that revolved, the schmoozing, the come over to my house and have a drink. They're never, he was such a disingenuous person, but the reality is they want that money. They want those coins. Mm-hmm. We have them. They don't have them. So is that some kind of leverage that we are going to have to give them their gold back? I don't know.
I mean,
but they can't be having folks going around blowing themselves up, because that money could just disappear.
Right. And let's not forget, this was the same former president who wanted to invite the Taliban to Camp David.
That's what I'm talking about. But where I fault Joe Biden is he still let the Mike Flynn's of the world run around. Yeah. He still let very, very dangerous people who have deep ties in those. That's where I'm on Joe Biden's behind about, because yet again, when you're in a street fight, you don't, show up with like toothpicks and, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to plan ahead. Is it a revelation to them? I'm sitting at home watching this stuff on TV, and I think I can kind of figure out how the game is being played. Joe Biden needed to have Merrick Garland, who, is he dead or something? Because I don't even know if he's alive anymore. I don't know what the hell he's doing. Because seriously, is he dead? Someone please should go check his office.
Like I said the last time, anybody who is not afraid to fight you in shower shoes, you've got to be prepared for them, okay?
That's true.
They want to fight you in flip-flops when your people have steel-toed military boots and they don't care.
Right.
Yeah, you got to prepare for a different kind of game.
Let's go to the audience. Got green-eyed
baby.
Yes, you because I sometimes get tongue-tied with all these handles. When 45 turned his back on our allies, the Kurds he opened up the ISIS floodgates. Now the Taliban is more powerful. Also saying 45 ruined the world, not just America.
He sure did.
Black Beauty, the ladies are on point, and I wish our media was putting this out there.
Our media is a bunch of wimps.
And he had an agenda, and then Black Beauty is saying, and let's not forget, we're in for their poppy, our drug cartels.
And pharmacy drug cartels.
Pharmacy drug cartels, yeah. Yeah. I mean, where do we have so many resources that we get from that particular part of the world, and we can't overlook that.
Yeah, you've got Novartis, you've got Sanofi, you've got Merck, you've got all of those who are somehow tied to this. We did with the poppy. That's very, very true. We got a bunch of them. We've got how many millions now are opium addicted? That's a big problem. We have money that went there to help them with these situations, and it never went anywhere. We have a bunch of women now who have to go back under cloak, and, hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen to them, but if anything, it was very foolish for anybody to ever think that they would instill democracy, because let's be honest, Saudi Arabia would just have kittens if that ever happened anyway, because they're the main ones behind. Talk about the biggest backstabbers. Talk about the, serpent's tongue of a country. They'll be whatever you want them to be at the time.
Yeah.
And frankly, they can't even trust their own family members. So how could you ever do business with people like that? How? But the reason that you can is because all of them are the same. All of them. The fact that they even have careers in it, Nancy Pelosi, Donald Trump, any of them, Mitch McConnell, they've been in here and they're too long in the tooth to pretend something's a shock, in my opinion. Oh, look what he did. Look what this, really? Y'all didn't sit up there and think about how having a bunch of drinks sometimes, how you could freaking run this thing? Come on. And if you didn't, then please leave and step down. And if Dianne Feinstein, or whatever the hell her name is, does not resign, we will be stuck, if Newsom loses, with the whole freaking Senate will be gone to us. I mean, gone. She needed to retire 100 years ago. The woman falls asleep in meetings. No, this is really unbelievable.
It's true.
It's like she needed to do this. We have an election on the 14th. What is she going to wait until after? She should have let Newsom assign who the new senator will be taking her place. And I can't believe nobody's all over that, because the old lady needs to go. And there's no excuse for it. It's almost like they want it to happen. It's like when I was talking about cryptocurrency with somebody and saying, cryptocurrency should be illegal because it's creating so much havoc across the world, and they say they can't trace it. Why the hell would you ever make that legal? I'm sorry. Screw your freedoms. Screw whatever. It's the same with face tuning and being able to change. MIT, I'm sorry. This stuff that you just invented, we're keeping it. It is a government. It belongs to the American government. And we are not going to let other foreign governments purchase the ability to create videos with and voice recognition with people that are in power. Because see, this is the problem. Everybody's a freaking sellout. They're a sellout. Mm-hmm. And then I had to look up today and hear about the woes of Mr. Asperger's, Elon Musk. I got beaten up as a kid. Get over it. We all did. Somebody was beating up somebody all the time. Snap the hell out of it. It's like what we have become and what we're allowing. Like I said, with the Democrats, I am so through at the moment. I posted something about Newsom the other day, and about just posting my ballot. And I got so much hate, bots, like millions of people DMing from all over, Republicans, Trump people, mentally ill people. And I just sat down and and then I lost access to my account in a very bizarre way for about a week, close to a week. I had to do the whole identity. Oh, I tried to block this woman as fast as I could. But in the middle of it, I got a flash that I violated a policy, and I hadn't violated policies, but they maneuver. And I'm like, all I did was just post, on my story and my thing, Newsom, that I voted for him and to vote no on the recall, and people went bananas. It was crazy. And not only that, I had no access to any of my passwords.
Oh, wow.
And I was a mess because I was just like, I can't believe I even rely on this mess. First of all, that bothered me because I don't like to depend on anybody, let alone anything, meaning a freaking app. And the fact that everything that we do as business people or whatever is in that is a little bit disturbing, that the US government has not figured out how to monitor this, regulate it, and control it. People are losing their accounts far more popular than me and being embezzled, people have had to pay in cryptocurrency to get their stuff back in their companies. This is wrong and it's outrageous. So all these distractions with, we cannot afford a war in Afghanistan. And I'm so sorry to the people of that country, because the reality is, as Prince said, in this life, you're on your own. It looks like it.
We can't going on at home.
We have so many things that we have avoided to take care of here. And we're only allowing America to be, basically, to be used and to bypass certain laws that other countries have. Privacy laws, much better than ours. They have better banking laws, much better than ours. And everybody has learned how to filter and launder their money through companies here, whether they're in Wyoming, whether they're in Delaware, wherever. This is what this country has become. And then they run it down through the Caymans. This is really bad. This is what America is. That's why we all work like slaves, so we can all go out and purchase like little slaves to get the same clothes that everybody's buying at H&M and everybody else. Everybody has the same, because everybody's shopping in the same place. That's communism. That is communism. We all wear the same things, the same uniform, the same fabrics. They call it a brand. I call it communism. Mom and pops are gone. We are buying from big fiduciary, big monopolies. And we think we're free. We're not free when the little guy gets crushed because of money.
To think that we're going to get over it.
And they're all guilty of it, Republicans and Democrats, by the way. They're all greedy. They're like sniffing, hunting little dogs.
Yeah. But to think that we're going to get out at.
And first of all, and I want to say, anybody from the DNC watching this, next time you send me any more mail about donating to you, I started to think half of you senators are rich on your own. Use your own damn money for your elections. Screw off. I'm not giving a dime. Most of them are rich and they're like, can you donate to that? No, I can't. Use your own money. Go in your own bank account like I do to give you pieces of trash money. My hard-earned money. Yeah. I'm done.
To think that we're going to get out of Afghanistan and not have to go back. We have been back and forth with Afghanistan for decades. Okay, for decades.
Oh, the Arabs are our whipping posts.
Well, yeah, but to think that, they're fighting us with our own weapons. Let's not forget that. Back in the 80s with Oliver North and all of them.
Every time.
Giving them the upstarts of the Taliban weapons and the financial backing. Yeah. And they turned around and flipped it on us. Yeah. What do you expect? You give people something, you say you're going to be there, and then you pull out. You become enemy number one. And that's why we are where we are now. And pulling out this time, we're not going to be able to go back and have people trust us. This is absolutely ridiculous. What's going on now in Afghanistan is the future for America in foreign relations.
Well, there's no veritas. There's no truth in any of this, because the reality is, even though I don't like these people who have followed Trump, the thing is, he figured out how to wedge himself in with our men, our vets. the reality is you need to find out why these veterans are so salty and upset. They have come back from, I'm not taking anything away from what they've witnessed, what they saw, what they had to do to survive. God knows what was eating their souls. But all it took was a con man to come in and slide in. We have no mental health here for these people. When they come back, they barely get any respect. And they're living on like the lowest of wages. And it's wrong. If you treat someone like an animal, they're going to suddenly become like one to you. So America needs to answer for having these men and women in the Army for 10, 20 years that they lost sight and were so delusional by the time they left. That means that they were out there not trusting any orders that were being given to them, doubting whatever. They already went through that process of having so much empathy for what was happening there, because otherwise they wouldn't come back here as bitter as they are.
Yeah.
So a quick question, and I know probably on a later date we'll get deeper into this. What should America's role be in the world?
We need to take care of ourselves first and foremost. We need to stay out of other people's business and mind the business of getting this country back together, because right now this country is falling apart. Democracy is at risk. People are getting sick and dying. Until we can fix ourselves, we can't expect any place else in the world to do as we say. I'm sorry. We just can't. We're so messed up right now that we can't even begin to have a standing in the world.
Okay. Well, I think Jill, I don't think Jill needs to add anything because she said it already.
And I also think that America needs to sit down, because the reality is that the democracy is already gone. There's just the loopholes in place that keep it functioning as if. But democracy is gone when you cannot implement and enforce the laws that uphold democracy. We have not put anybody in jail for the horrible crimes that they've committed. And it seems like that just doesn't exist. We have politicians that need to be going to jail. We have a whole load of them. A paddy wagon needs to be filled, and they just need to drive up to Congress and load them all up. Well, it's that critical. And I do believe that there is no democracy anymore. Everybody is on their own, and their laws are not being enforced. We have rogue police. What more can we say? Where's the democracy? Courts are only trying people who are poor, broke, political enemies. That's it. But they're not going after the elite, the rich, at all. We have medical staff walking out. We're like a drug addict but everybody's like, fight for democracy. Honey, democracy's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
And that's what happens with people who are drug addicts. It's like sobriety is gone, even though they need help to get back to where they need to be. It's gone, and that the addiction that we have now is war. We have an addiction of hate. We have all these things that we can't get rid of.
I don't know if they'll be able to even go back to war the way they think. These kids and these young people coming up, I don't know if they'd have, but I don't think they'd have the manpower. And I don't think that they're at a point where they would even go.
Yeah, I don't think that they would either.
And that's a big problem. They were born into
war. They were born
because anybody who feels patriotic, it's like, it's kind of faux, isn't it? It's like, it's all these people who are in the system. The politicians have destroyed the country. And for a very long time, I don't think there's been sound democracy here. Otherwise, if it were, it would have never been able to have been torn asunder. We have actual traitors in this country, and they're in corporate America. They're everywhere. So their allegiance is not to here. So it's not fair for them to blame it on just a bunch of people who started following Donald Trump. There were a lot of people, rich people involved in this thing by giving him money. The Koch brothers, that family. There's a lot of people that need their feet held to the fire, because to just say it's a bunch of crazy Trump people, I'm beyond that. This goes into some very, very specific planning that went a long way and started during the Tea Party. And it was a long game that they played. And they've had help, not just nationally, but internationally.
Yeah.
And they should all be charged. We killed the Rosenbergs for less.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to some more comments. We've got Black Beauty, and let's not forget we're here for the Poppy by the cartels. We also have here, and all of our greed-ridden contractors refusing to leave and crying wolf that we've abandoned them.
Leave them. They'll get back. Trust me.
Spot on, ladies. Jen is saying. Black Beauty says the Senate is clearly not going to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Thus, we will not have a throw stone at democracy. And the inspired thought, someone new, yes, speak the truth. This started well before 45.
Exactly.
Great comments, everyone. And we really like new people coming on board. Appreciate it. Appreciate it big time. Well, there's going to be a running theme throughout the rest of the conversation. Anniversaries. Some and most of them not too good. So let's first off go. Yesterday was the 58th anniversary of the March on Washington. How much has America changed civil rights-wise in the last 58 years? The March on Washington, who those are not familiar, was a famous march Martin Luther King gave his I Have a Dream speech 58 years ago. How much has changed?
Nothing. They exploit Martin Luther King.
And the fact that we are still fighting for voting rights. The 1963 March on Washington, let's not forget, was about voting rights, because the Civil Rights Bill came the year after, and the Voting Rights Bill came the year after that, 65. The main thing was they were getting people to register to vote during that march, and voting right was a major theme. And here we are, 2021, still trying to pass a voting rights bill to basically restore what the 65 legislation had done, which prevented states, particularly the southern states, from enacting these voter registration, these voter ID laws and these restrictions and these suppressions. And here we are right now, back to where we were 58 years ago. So it's like, and the fact that yesterday they actually had a march to demand to deal with the Voting Rights Act. It's 58 years later, we're still doing this. And it's completely insane to me that we have to continuously go back to fix things that were supposedly fixed in the past, because we have certain people in our country that don't want progress to happen.
Anything you want to add, Jill?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of, I think that if somebody keeps treating you like dirt, you've got to pay attention. I mean, personally, it's like America belongs to some other people and you're the mistress. It's like they're married to somebody else and you're just sitting there in the wings. You're the side chick, the side piece, not even a chick, side piece. And, the one thing I did realize so brutally, and it sounds so stupid with the Instagram thing, was that how exploited we are. And now we willingly allow ourselves to be exploited and then tossed away like garbage. The fact that this has been going on, shows how little solidarity has been in the community. The fact that we can't seem to wrangle, a pot to even pee in anymore is so incredibly, they've been succeeding. There's how many black men are in jail here. So there's so many,
prisons are the modern day plantation.
They are. And I think that the reality people should just wake up and just say, they don't want us here. And they're vowing to make sure we never have our voting rights, never on paper. When I was born, they wrote illegitimate on my birth certificate. Yeah. And they wouldn't put my father's name on it.
What?
They weren't married. Mm-hmm.
Illegitimate.
Illegitimate is what it said.
Oh.
So a lot of people, like I remember when they were freaking out about Barack Obama's his baby certificate, things were very different in those times. What they wanted to put, and they would. I mean, he was, thank God he was in another state where they allowed African. But I actually do believe that African was going to be better than, just. I don't know.
It's my parents' birth certificates were not like that. Like my mother was born in 1951. She was born in South Carolina. Hers is colored. And my father was born in Connecticut in 1950.
Yeah, Ohio had Negro.
Negro.
Yeah, Ohio had Negro.
Yeah, and mine says black, actually.
Yeah. And then they mixed me up at the hospital, which was really weird. They gave me to some white woman.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, that was really strange.
I know Winnie was not having that.
She was not. But so my whole point is that all this has been going on. And we have successful Black African-American people in this country, and they're doing well. And the only thing is that they've left people behind. And I don't know if it's really hit them, with people like Julian Bond having gone away, passed away, people like Jesse Johnson, say
Bond
prayers
story.
for Jesse. And Jesse Johnson, not Jesse Johnson, Jesse Jackson and his wife was sending prayers to them. I know that his wife, Jacqueline, is not doing very well, or not that she's not doing very well. She just needed extra oxygen. So I'm praying for her. She wasn't vaccinated. If that's true, I don't know. But so my whole point is we're in a really bad situation, and Black people need to figure it out, because there really aren't still enough that get out and go and vote. Well, so if you're raising your children,
Bond story that I can tell you that honestly turned me off of him. It was 2006. Yeah, 2006. And he was at the University of South Carolina. And I went to go see him because it was part of my job. And Julian Bond, somebody asked him, was he ready to pass on the torch? He said, the next generations will have to pry it out of his cold, dead hands. And for me, that was like, whoa. It's like, dude.
But I don't think he was wrong. Your generation hasn't done anything.
No, they have not. But these were,
and I mean, the
millennials.
Old guys did play. They had to play a lot of, in a time where they really did have to play along with white men at dinners and all this. Now you have people willingly, like Jay-Z and everybody, they go to dinner with the white man and they're looking to get whatever they can from the relationship. They actually, although I'm not condemning Jay-Z and his wife, but because they do a lot for the Black community, but what I am pushing more for is, I wish they would push it more to show people how to do it more, that it's not just top down, it's bottom up, and other people need to know how to do that and foster it in communities. We have to figure out how to solidify those places for people, but people do what they can. I'm not going to judge them. I'm not trying to, but I would say that as far as politicians that we have Hakeem Jeffries, who's doing his best, but they have to learn how to get some cojones against these white folks that they've been taught to be nice to, because they thought everybody was being nice to them. But hey, none of these people have gotten us our voting rights passed.
And they're old. They've been there forever.
So as far as I'm concerned, exactly.
They allowed the rollbacks to the 65 voting rights legislation to happen. I mean, they didn't have to have a quorum. They didn't have to be there for a
the only way. They'll never vote for term limits.
No,
but I do think
that's what we need. That's what we need.
Although the will hustle and the hustlers will for sure still.
So I'm just gonna go to some comments. Green-eyed saying the world is lost. The kids today think war is a game. They think hate is cool, and they aren't taught social skills. Also says kids don't go into STEM. We are losing scientists left and right.
Our American kids are too dumb.
Black Beauty, yes, and we're right back where we started. And as you see, it barely made the news talking about the protests of yesterday about celebrating the. Also, Green-eyed, it's depressing that we are going backwards. Blue Rains, it's really sad and frustrating to be still fighting for voting rights.
It's demoralizing. It's absolutely. I can't even. It's demoralizing.
And expect it to get worse, because after the census came out and said that the majority of people that they were counting, that the number of white people has gone down and the number of people of color has gone up, expect voting rights to be the thing that they work at the hardest to deny us.
Of course, we've been saying on this platform for months. The central focus for the next few years in America is voting.
And personally, I would love to see Kamala Harris dealing with busting up the whole redlining of banks, because that's where we need the bust up. That's where we need the war, actually.
Yeah.
Her and Elizabeth Warren, for once, can somebody please give Elizabeth Warren some fruition, her and Katie, whatever her name is, the other one, destroy them. But, they won't, because everybody's too vested. The problem why America can't be a country is because people put their own interests ahead of everybody else.
Okay, that is true. But I would say another thing. I'm going to say two things. First of all, and I think I've said it before, especially the Democratic Party, rightly or wrongly, they're trying to please everybody.
Well, they can't do that.
But that's a challenge, right? Trying to please.
You want to be a big tent party, but at the same token, if you're going to be a big tent party, you also have to really have a backbone to support the people that are under the tent, and they don't. That's the biggest problem, is that they want to be this big tent party, but they're not supporting. They're not taking the steps needed to support the people that are under the tent, because they're so afraid that they will lose the next election. Well, you know what? Gamble on the next election, because that's the only way you're going to really solidify this increase in the Senate, this increase in the House, is if you actually do something. Because people are getting tired of you telling them, oh, well, vote, and it'll be better. Well, no, it's not getting better, because you're not doing your damn jobs.
And that's such a great point, because what we really need is, yes, we know Joe Biden said, I'm here for everybody. Well, the whole point is, it's called conversion, Joe. You need to make people feel safe under that big tent so they convert, so we don't go down this road again. You create security. But what's happening is they keep asking Democrats to look for security in a very insecure space. It's just never manifests where we get ours. And it's wrong. We got it partially with President Obama, but then those Republicans lined up in single file and hit back hard and made his life incredibly difficult. But now I see why he actually caved. Because look who was behind him. They're not that strong. The Democrats then were even weaker than the ones that, right now, at least we've got the AOCs and we've got the squad girls who I know can, get scrappy. But they have to also learn that it's not just scrappy, it's strategic, because everybody is involved some way with their stock market, with their donors. Because remember, big corporations donate to both. They donate to the Republicans and they'll donate to the Dems. Always, always. Somebody may get a few $1,000s more, whatever, but they all play the cards. All of them. Google will give the same amount to each one. No one's they just want their money. And that's the problem.
Well,
that's the big problem.
I'll say one thing, and it was another thing I'm thinking about saying. I don't know if I'm going to say it, but at least one thing. Blacks around the world need to learn how to play chess, not checkers.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the other thing I'm going to say, rightly or wrongly, I'm going to put it out there. Many Blacks suffer from one of these three things, or probably two of them, or all of them: trauma, repetition, and symbolism.
Yeah. I see that.
So that's a whole other conversation. But
I mean, if you meet an American who is a Black atheist, it's kind of mind-boggling. I mean, not mind-boggling. It blows my mind. I'm like, oh, wow, what a progressive. What, You know, do you know what a leap? That's a big deal. There aren't enough Black atheists in this country, as far as I'm concerned. They would never think of it. They're stuck in like tradition or whatever that's about. There's people who didn't even fill out their freaking census form because they got superstitions or, you know, and the reality is people have to, at some point you have to realize, I mean, I've looked at my life. I used to not have seashells in the house. I used to not do this because of this or because of that. And I was superstitious. And there comes a point in your life where you have to take a really good look at it and go, I am where I am, not because of a seashell, not because of, walking around and burying something in the dirt at night with 3 circles around it, or going to church and mass every day. I am where I am because of my own decisions
that you made and the people you associated with.
And when you take accountability like that, then you become a better asset for a God, for a universal sovereign.
I gotta say, I was fortunate enough to be raised in the Nation of Islam till I was about 11 or 12. And then my parents were like, make your own decision on your faith, and just left it wide open to the point that I could see, that my decisions were my own.
Right.
And that every step, it's like I talked to my daughter about this yesterday. And I said, I could have dated this person and that person. It could have gone on for whatever. I said, but had I not made the decisions that I made, you would not be here.
Absolutely.
Speak
it, Aisha.
Butterfly.
And I appreciate every mistake that I made, because every mistake I made led me to her being born.
Right.
I think after that comment, we can move on to the next conversation piece. That's like, drop the mic.
It's true.
Drop the mic.
Very true.
Another comment here. Exactly, Joe. Recreate the Black Wall Street. Well, you know something? Again, I won't get to it. Black Wall Street exists, but the media doesn't cover it. There's a lot of Blacks that are doing very well out there.
You have some shows about it.
Yes. Yes. There's a lot of Black, but again, we have so many things we're going to chat about down the road, but we have to realize that most organized groups, especially the media, has an agenda.
Exactly.
Sorry.
And I worked in the media for a long time. And I mean, I've covered things that I've been like, when you, Dr. Vibe, the first article that got you to have me on the show.
Yes.
I wrote it for the Huffington Post, and I was surprised. It was called Why America Needs to Listen to Black Women. And I was surprised that nobody was covering anything like that. Because the end result of that article, the last sentence was because when America doesn't listen to Black women, Donald Trump is what happens when you don't.
Right, but we also have, we haven't fixed that, but let's be honest, we also have a serious ageism problem in this country.
Yeah.
And, I can tell you, I was sending out resumes, right? Because I'd like to do some writing again, producing. And, they can read that how old I am. It's so clear. They can look me up. Not one response. Not one.
Okay.
Get back with me about how to.
We got a good. Okay, we have someone that has a Jill. I disagree. Unfortunately, too many of our people are oppressed not because of our belief in God, but because of lack of knowledge of how the political system is structured in America.
But a lot of that has to do with faith, because you have to remember, the reason they were able to keep slaves enslaved was to use the Bible and use King James was illiterate, okay?
Yeah.
And that they used the King James version of the Bible to say, this whole the meek shall inherit the earth, and that being enslaved was being next to God. These were things that were used against our people in order to keep us in a position of servitude. So even though it would be nice to believe that religion has always been used to the detriment of Black people in this country.
Always.
Okay. Well, folks, as you see, we're having another quiet show, and let's go to this comment. First of all, we need to stop calling it Black Wall Street. We need our own name for the same type of community.
Well,
Wow.
I will say this: that name was given to Black Wall Street by Black people, so I don't really see the need in changing the name. If it was given by white people, sure, but it was given by Black people because Black people were calling themselves Black when white people were still calling them colored.
All right. Let's move on. The recent 16th anniversary of Katrina, and I think we can also piggyback at what's going on the Gulf Coast right now with another storm, Hurricane Ida, like hitting 16 years to the day. That's crazy.
I mean, Katrina was incredibly disruptive. I remember my daughter was still a very little toddler and watching all the destruction on television and just thinking. And for me, it was really a shock because the day I had looked at some of the reports, there was actually someone named Aisha who was just floating in the water, which really creeped me out. And because years ago, I wanted to live in New Orleans.
Oh,
back
wow.
in like the late 90s. And it just really freaked me out. But, New Orleans it feels like it's just getting back on track, right? And, well, for let me say this. It's not for the poor people it's getting back on track for, okay?
Yeah.
It's getting back on track for the people like your Emerald Lagassiers and those kinds of people who have businesses there and they got their PPP loans this go around and to rebuild and stuff. But if we can recall back 16 years ago during Katrina, that was so detrimental to Black people in New Orleans. If you recall, the people at the Superdome.
Oh, wow.
All the rapes.
Can I just interrupt here? Just got an update from one of our community. I just read the entire city of New Orleans has lost power.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Katrina. All over again. Because they didn't fix anything with the money that they got.
They did not fix the levies. No, they did not.
No.
Oh, my goodness.
And so that city is.
Oh, man. I feel like
water again.
Like, do people in New Orleans feel like they're like Haiti?
They must.
Like, it just they seem to parallel each other with just catastrophe. Like, obviously, New Orleans is a little bit further spread apart, but this happening again, like 16
Let's not say that too often, because then they'll start saying it's we were cursed in the Bible.
Right.
We're that group in the Bible, the ones who raped Moses or Noah or one of them. The son. Don't, please, because that's already one horrible trope that goes around that's why Black people are cursed. It's disgusting. But we have some very unintelligent people who rely on some really bad information. The thing that people should be paying attention to is that there's repetition here. And when something repeats itself like this, there's a need for people to stand up for true accountability. Like, what the hell have you all been doing? Why didn't you fix the levees? Why are these people still in these dastardly positions and how they're living? New Orleans, COVID has ravaged them because also superstition and also poverty and unfortunately,
leadership.
Can I just say something? Every place cannot be a freaking HGTV design show, people. Everything cannot be a renovation. Everything cannot be this bloody that's everybody touting up numbers and everything is, I've got an Airbnb, I've got a house, I'm going to put it on Airbnb. It's got to stop. We are seeing people in the forms of their greatest hustle. And people don't even realize we are living in a Charles Dickens movie and cannot handle the fact of why there's homeless. It's not just because of some of the governors. It's the people of America, too. The people here have no morals. They don't care about anybody for the most part, the ones who have the money. It's survival of the fittest. And some are very happy with that. This is horrible that these people are going through this in Katrina again, and it's going to hit the poor people. And, let's just hope that I don't know what to say. We're dealing with climate change. It's just going to become worse and worse. And then there'll be a group that goes down and, we'll do the donations and we'll do it all over again. And what did Einstein say about repetition? If you keep having to repeat something over and over again, I mean, this is a problem. This is really bad.
The definition of
We
insanity.
can't get out.
Doing the same thing over and over again and getting different results. Again, getting back to what I said earlier about trauma, repetition, symbolism.
Yep.
Okay, we are going to take a break here, but yeah, that whole situation in New Orleans is, oh boy, that's a whole other conversation. So let's go on a break, and when we come back, we'll look at some other anniversaries. So keep it locked. We'll be back in a bit. Go. So, ladies, what is going on?
Just that he needs to get it together.
Sick of that. I am sick of it.
Something is seriously wrong with you.
Why is he still there?
She shouldn't be near Congress.
You need an exorcism, because I don't know what is wrong with you people.
It was so powerful.
And I really wish everybody would stop bowing down to this.
What is he talking about? This makes no sense.
They know they are not the oppressed party, but they love being the superior ones, and they want to flaunt it.
So it was always made political, particularly for people of color and the LGBTQ population.
We end off every episode with a cockroach. This episode's cockroach.
Everything.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, and it is Black Canada Talking time. Black Canada Talking is a live online event that provides Black Canadians the opportunity to give their takes on stories, POVs that are of importance to them, or we showcase Black Canadians are doing their thing.
The real aspect of what goes on behind the walls or behind the fence is a totally different persona and a totally different picture.
There was just a big sense of relief when we finally got there.
We have to realize that everything we do is going to have an impact on probably a lot of people we don't even know.
One of the mandates of the CBC is to reflect Canada back to itself.
Not a lot of sustainable long-term movement that will effect economic change.
God bless, peace well, keep the faith, and walk good. We are back. The ladies are back. Took a little bit of extended break, but we've got it going on. And just want to catch up on some of the there's some earlier comments that we missed. Green Eyed is saying Biden needs to help the landlords since the evictions are starting again during the pandemic. Also, that you've got Jen's up already. We have here, Black people are calling themselves the N-word too. So does that make it right? When we know history will be more inclined to stand on what we are built, not what we've built, not what others have. T. Stevens, Jill is right on point. Black using prayers for the people of Louisiana. Yeah. Absolutely. Big time prayers for the people in Louisiana. So let's keep on to our anniversary theme and the recent anniversary of the death of Aaliyah. Aisha?
Yeah, the day that Aaliyah died, I was in the car with my mother and my youngest sister. My other sister was in DC at the time, and it came across the radio. And it was one of those things because she was, I remember seeing her at Howard's homecoming in '95. And it was just really a shock. And actually that night, I was supposed to go see Tina Marie in concert here at a park in Hartford, and Tina Marie did a dedication to her, and she brought her daughter on stage to sing with her. It really impacted me a lot because my biggest fear is plane crashes. I hate to fly, and plane crashes really terrify me to death, and that was something that really impacted me. But this week, R. Kelly's on trial.
Yes, he is. He is.
And so the thing that came out was that his marriage to Aaliyah was a way that he tried to conceal or get away with having sex with a minor. That was the purpose behind the marriage. That he thought that if they were married, it wouldn't be considered illegal or child molestation. And so that was something that came out this week in trial. This week also, her former record label put some of her music back on streaming.
Yes,
the One in a Million album.
Yeah, but that's caused some contention too, because I think it's her uncle. Yes, it's her uncle has been given permission to do that, but the estate is not happy with that.
Yeah, her family's not happy with that, and I get it, but I don't get it because all these years her music has been unavailable. The only thing that's been available is the album that she did with R. Kelly, the first album, and so they're releasing her other album slowly. So One in a Million came out last week, and then I believe this week the eponymous album comes out, which was her last album. And you know, there was just a really strange time, because even the producer, the co-producer of that album with Timbaland, Static Major, died shortly after she did. And it was just a really weird time. And I remember that because, you know, my late teens, early 20s, grew up with Aaliyah.
Any thoughts on Aaliyah that you have, Jill?
Wow. Oh, did you just do that as a ventriloquist? Or did the film slow down? It did, right? Spooky. That was really weird. Yeah, I mean, it was a great loss. What can you say? It's that urgency in the business, you know, people don't take precautions. Too many people on a tiny plane. Yeah. Luggage, overloading. That's
cocaine.
I mean, that's to be expected. I mean, in the industry, but I think the fact is that the plane was overloaded.
Yeah.
And I know when I flew into St. Bart, they weigh everybody. And I was like 7 months pregnant. And, you know, you can't get in on a big jet. Like, you take it down to like St. Martin, and then you have to fly in over in a little tiny plane. But they're totally also even positioning you in the seats, like, you know, here. So sometimes the worst part of this industry is being really smart. And it's hard because you hope people are looking out for you, but somebody needed to not go home, or bags needed to be sent later. And it's kind of what we saw with Kobe. It's that rush, and to get to the next venue, the next place, whoever is paying for it, they don't, you know, see that it's all that.
Yeah.
And it was a very sad accident, unfortunately.
It impacted me a lot because, in terms of how I fly, because, you know, to fly into New Haven, Connecticut, you always have to get on a small plane. Always. And there have been times where I've seen like a 500-pound person on one side of the plane. I'm on the other side. I'm like, I'm getting off this plane now.
But that comes back down to science, and that comes back down to physics, and how they've got computers now that figure that out. But by the same token, I don't think you were in as small a plane as she was in. It didn't even have a bathroom on that plane.
Wow. No, my smallest plane was like a 20-seater.
Yeah, I mean, this was a little Lear, and in those days, and even before, I took a Lear before with Prince. They're small. They're really, really bloody small, and they're pretty efficient, I guess. But as in any of those planes, the bigger jets, I mean, I hate flying too, don't get me wrong. And it really freaks me out. But, you know, just make sure you know.
Yeah, it's interesting because I can somewhat really, I don't really mind flying too much, but I will say that the time that I had to go to Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories, and it was at night, and it was a smaller plane, and that's probably the smallest plane I've ever been in. And I'm going, okay, it's totally dark.
Awful.
And,
Yeah.
and if this plane goes down,
Right.
I'm not too far from the Arctic Circle. Who's gonna find me if this thing goes down?
Right.
I'm just going, okay. By the grace of God, there go I. God, but that was just really, really interesting. Like,
I mean, all of those people lost their lives because someone didn't want to make a decision.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that there was some issue about it's too heavy, because I just don't believe that, I mean, really, but it comes back down to this whole thing. And then a pilot overestimating that he can do it because they always want to please the celebrities. I mean, and to be a celebrity, do you know how narcissistic you have to be? First of all,
just so you know, Christy said Northwest Toy. She chuckles. Christy, no offense there. I love the place. I want to go back there because I am so in love with the people there. Like,
but
they have
remember,
a piece of my heart.
He's flying in the dark in the Northwest, anywhere. It's all radar. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But it is, you feel everything on your way.
Yeah. And I wasn't that much older than her, which like really just like brought my whole,
Well,
you sound like you were a big fan.
Well, you know what? It was, I remember, I have very fond memories of the One in a Million album because when I was at graduate school, it was the big thing at a HBCU.
Okay. Yeah, she was huge.
Yeah, and getting to see her at a HBCU. But just someone my age being struck, a plane crash like that. Plane crashes continuously have these impacts on me. Like when JFK died,
that was awful.
I was about to fly right before that. When Aaliyah died in her plane crash, I was about to fly right after that. And then about 7 years ago, I had a friend who a small plane crashed into her house and killed her children. And so these it's like these things keep
coming up.
Coming up. And so every plane crashed with me. Like even reading when I was younger about Otis Redding dying.
Yes.
And Patsy Cline, and they keep just sticking.
You got to stop manifesting, and you got to stop putting that in your brain.
Your head,
because you're making more of something that is actually, for the most part, we're pretty fortunate with air travel like that. What they do.
My first flight ever, I was 19 years old, and my best friend and I were on the plane, and the plane lost air pressure, and all the masks and everything came down.
Oh my
and
goodness.
So ever since then, it's been really like just.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on from this topic. Let's go. Christy White says, I'd be scared for sure. I hate flying. Yes, timelines and money definitely over safety in her case.
Terrible, yeah.
All right, well, I wasn't going to bring this one up, but I think it does deserve merit because if we're talking about Aaliyah and her death, today is the birthday of some gentleman named Michael Jackson.
Yes.
Wow.
My daughter is in awe. My daughter loves Michael Jackson. I showed her the Motown 25 video where she was like 5. And ever since then, she's been like, Michael Jackson, everything.
I have to admit, fan, but I'm sorry, I'm more of a Prince fan.
Well, that's the thing about my apartment that you can't see. Is like from where I am, you can see all the Prince stuff. On the other side is all the Michael Jackson.
and for people, the big deciding factor, and Michael was great performer, but to me, he didn't write the majority of his music.
No,
a lot of his music was, and again, and we talked about it last week in our Ask Us Anything. I don't know if I said, but I would love to sit down with Quincy Jones when he's ready to talk the truth, because people don't want people. What would Michael Jackson be without Quincy Jones?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Respectfully. Now, I'm not a disparate, but look, man, you look at those albums, Quincy was everywhere. And Michael, great performer.
What people
cannot
don't
take it away.
realize is that Michael Jackson decided to work with Quincy Jones because of his involvement in The Wiz in 1973.
Yes.
And that the music that he did there is what got Michael Jackson to wanting to work with him in 1979 for Off the Wall.
Right. And folks, if these two ladies know their music, so if you're going to go hard on them, good luck. Your wood is wet. Good luck. Like they know their music. But Michael, phenomenal.
He was. I would have to say that what I give him credit for is he may have not known how to write the music, which we know he didn't write music really. Maybe lyrics or whatever. He was very vocal about what he wanted and pretty precise when he was teaching himself new dances. And I always liked that he reached out to the tip top. He got the best of whatever they were doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if the takeaway that you can, where you make a big difference between Prince and him, for me, that says a lot. And it's, and of the character traits that perhaps should be adopted would be always seek the best, be around the best people.
Yep.
Be around the best.
Yep.
Prince, for some reason, you know, a lot of people bring up that James Brown show, and I've often had time to think about it a little bit, where he choked, you know, like kind of like got on stage and was overwhelmed by this experience, because I was there. And I've now had a lot of time to think about it, and I thought, well, maybe so. I mean, it just, now that you bring up these two, Michael knew how to ask for the songs he wanted. He knew he'd stay in the studio until he got that hook that he thought worked. He had great ears.
Yes.
He knew what a hit could be.
Yes.
He
Absolutely.
was able to delegate. That's so wild to me. But surround yourself with the best. And also, when he committed, he committed. It wasn't halfway.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe in that respect,
I don't. And I should have brought the comparison, but
no. But people do, and I think it's fair. They're both very different, but on a certain level, the takeaway for me in looking at someone like Michael Jackson, and it's a great business trait, and he was, you know, he committed, and he always wanted to surround himself with the best. I mean, talk about another narcissist. They all are, but nothing spooked him. And maybe that's because he was raised in the business. So he had a sort of sense of entitlement. Like, I know who I am. I'm Michael Jackson. I can get anybody I want.
Yeah.
Right.
And for some reason, it seemed like Prince may have doubted that or decided to stay out of that lane.
I mean, Michael learned a lot from Berry Gordy, and there's no doubt about that.
I mean, if Michael were alive today, he'd be hanging out with Elon Musk. I mean, we know that.
Yeah.
We know who he would pick off, because he was kind of fascinated with other people's success as well. And there were people in those days who were rightful experts. See, the problem is we've lost actual stars who had quality and who were rightfully experts at their job. Okay. And now we're just left with a bunch of influencers on Instagram. And believe it or not,
our favorite platform.
But believe it or not, that's changed what we tolerate, what we experience. We lost David Bowie, another master.
Yeah.
That those losses should not be in vain, because we need to look at it. Those were our bars.
Yeah.
And they're gone.
Well, I just want to add quickly, and you know what? Now he's deceased. What great soul balladeer got one of his earliest breaks touring with David Bowie?
Billy Preston.
No. Known for his love songs.
Not Marvin Gaye.
Oh, Luther Vandross.
Yes.
Yes.
Luther Vandross, in his early days, he used to be a backing vocalist.
Yeah, he was.
On tour with David Bowie.
He wrote the song Brand New Day for The Wiz that Michael Jackson and Diana Ross sang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did.
But because when we had albums back in the day, I would always read the liner notes to say,
totally.
who's producing, who's singing back.
How do you think I found out who Joe was?
Liner notes.
Reading liner notes, Tina Marie's liner notes. But I'll tell you, I sit in awe with, for example, like when I heard When Doves Cry and I heard that song for the first time on MTV, I was like in awe because I never heard anything like it. I still sit that way with Wanna Be Starting Something by Michael Jackson. I'm like, how did you decide this was going to be the first song to start the album off? Because it really makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
You feel it.
It makes a lot of sense. And it's like, it gets you hyped up to want to listen to the rest of it.
Well, just to give props to Ms. Jill, I was chatting with one of my buddies I hadn't spoke to for a long time. Because I go, which one of the shows I do? It goes, I love Aisha and Jill. And like, she goes, yeah, and Jill was in Purple Rain. I go, how do you know that? He goes, and he nailed the scene that you were into. He remembers the scene of the whole bit.
So funny.
Oh, I texted Jill earlier this week because I was watching the WNBA and they were honoring a player who got her start in 1999, and they only played the female vocals.
Yeah, which was so funny.
And I was like, Jill, they're playing 1999.
That's very nice.
Playing your ad-libs of the female vocals. I was like, Prince got a little play, but they got all the female vocals.
Girl power.
Yes.
Jill Jones.
And I was sitting there, I'm like, these young girls playing on this court don't even realize.
They don't got it.
They don't know.
They don't got it. All right. Let's go on the other side of the pendulum. Unfortunate. The recent 66th anniversary of the murder of Emmett Till.
In 2005, I was a presenter at a conference on the 50th anniversary of the trial for Emmett Till. And his mother had passed away the year before. And one of the people that I met was Keith Beauchamp, who is assisting with the film Till that will star Whoopi Goldberg. And they just
I read about that. Yes.
Yeah. And I knew about this. Let's see, he told me about this in 2015 that they had been working on it and Whoopi Goldberg had committed. And they just recently cast the young man who's going to be playing Emmett Till. I remember the first time I read about Emmett Till, I was 13 and I saw the pictures and I mean, I couldn't sleep I had nightmares for a week after seeing the pictures of what was done to him. And the fact that the woman, Carolyn Bryant, is still alive. And, they've been trying to prosecute her for the last, 17 years. It's something. And it's one of those things where, when Rosa Parks sat down on the bus that day in December 1st, 1955, she said she was thinking about Emmett Till because he had just been murdered that August.
Wow. Jill, you're on mute for some strange reason. You're on mute, Jill, for some reason.
I had a ambulance.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what is going on down the street, but hopefully my neighbors are okay.
Yes.
You just never know. During COVID, it was so weird to see ambulances coming and the lights fly. That was really a strange, ominous feeling. Yeah, I mean, with Emmett Till, it goes back to the whole thing for me, with the voting rights. I mean, here we are 66 years later. Hasn't changed. We've got a bunch of Karens that are just replaying, the same script that Emmett Till's accuser did. And we've been seeing it for a while. The interesting thing for me is why all of these horrible things are circulating at the end of a summer cycle when we're getting ready to move into fall. There's some very interesting symbolism going on at the moment. And, for that, I think that is something that we can't seem to rise above out of this and look at things with truth and respect and honor. And here we are still here fighting a nation that really doesn't want Black people to be any better than what they've given us. They throw us crumbs and want us to pretend it is a sourdough loaf, a baguette. It is not.
When
And
Aisha brought this story up, it made me think that how in at least 10 to 15 states in the United States, lynching is still legal.
It totally is. Yeah.
Yeah. And they tried to change the meaning of it. For example, this came to bear in South Carolina in 2004 when I was living there. And they had arrested some high school students for a brawl and charged them with lynching because they defined lynching as 2 or more people engaged in some kind of physical altercation. And so it really is astonishing how these states have come to define lynching, and so that it doesn't meet what we would consider lynching, so that they could apply it equally across the board. But it doesn't work that way. And the children that, mind you, that were arrested that year in 2004 were black kids arrested for lynching. And so it's like we still have that, but we also have this history of lynching in the United States, where even in 1963, when they were looking for the 3 civil rights workers, they came up with like 8 bodies out the river.
Yeah.
And a lot of those could not have, people who did that couldn't be charged. So we have a very unequal application in this country in terms of how we apply these lynching laws across states. But remember, we also have a Congress and a Senate that would not support the Emmett Till.
If they wouldn't support that, then why did everybody think that the voting rights thing was going to pass? I mean, let's just be honest. I think that, there's some home truths that have come to fruition about everything, about all of these countries, all of their dirty deeds. Look in Canada, you have the whole thing. I mean, good God, they weren't an orphanage. They weren't any of that. They were murderers. They just took kids in and killed them, no different than Auschwitz or Dachau.
Right.
Because some of them were so young that they didn't even get to live their lives. To the point, give me a break. And everybody, I don't know if people have honor for their family or they don't, but I believe every child's name that went missing, if family members can remember, if there's DNA that can connect them, I think that the names of everybody who worked in those places should be made public. I think that everybody should be looked at, scrutinized, just even if it's the side eye from the crowd. I know it's terrible, but it'll never bring them back. But they've all done their dirty deeds, all of them. And now they're standing here like, oh my God, what are we, that's a terrible thing to do. It's like we're in a freaking Monty Python movie, a sad one. I mean, where's the comedy?
Yeah.
There
it's
isn't
like
even
we have that
any
here
anymore.
too, because you think about all the mental, quote unquote.
Oh, they're looking now. They're looking
institutions.
now. Oh,
Yeah.
they're looking.
And they put black kids in those things, in those institutions.
I know.
And a lot of them were being raped, abused, and sterilized for no reason.
Well, that's the interesting thing about my grandmother, my great grandmother, because Christy was talking to me about it, but it's true. We cannot find out when she had my mom's dad, where, what his birth certificate was non-existent, different day. We don't know who his dad is. Forget anything. Her dad. He suddenly got papers, but it's a mess. All I just keep thinking is we're in a major shift, because all these things don't just rise to the surface. It is like, we've been dragging a river and all the bodies are now coming up. Yeah. It really feels like all these things are being resurrected. I mean, I think this is the second coming for America to figure out who it really wants to be. It's either going to go straight to hell or it's going to get it together. If I were a betting person, I'd say it's going straight to hell. But, that's just from what I see. We have a lot of work to do to get rid of people. And what scares me about when they don't implement those laws, because we're putting a lot of faith into an abstract group of people called Gen Z. And I will give it to you. They have never they go through their things with the shootings and the this, and I understand, and it's terrible. But the minute capitalism gets in the way, where a person gets a choice to be rich or poor, Gen Z ain't going to pull through either for everybody. They'll sell everybody else out too, and maybe be even more brutal about it.
And remember,
I don't see much empathy in that group. I see a lot of give me a label, give me a name. This is what I am. This is who I am. And I don't see that as being a sustainable way to live either in a society.
Yeah. And let's be clear, the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill, the person who voted against it was Rand Paul.
Yeah, but there's a reason he keeps getting voted in. The issue is, people, please stop trying to be friends with these people. If you're in Kentucky and you're poor, you're poor. If you shun their family, shun their kids.
He was the only reason it did not pass.
In Japan, they have really weird things about honor and family. And, even somebody who's a criminal can set the whole family on a course that's you can't even return from. You know what I'm saying? I think we need to have a little bit of honor somewhere here. I don't see, I'm looking at a child online who's been needing a heart transplant. He's only like 5 or 6. And then I see some old dusty taxidermy, the prince, the queen's husband. I mean, let's be honest. They put fresh new hearts in these old geezers. That's
I've had 2 siblings on donor lists, and it's
that's
insane.
like wearing a moth-ridden dress. That's like, they gave hearts to the Rockefeller. How many did David Rockefeller have? Or whichever one it was.
Dick Cheney. Oh my God, how many hearts?
Dick Cheney's had a few. Where are they getting them? Where's the list? Oh, because they're rich and there's children. I'm sorry. There's just, so they could be rule and have more hate in the world. Yeah. God only knows how they're getting them. Yeah. Come on, people. We as the lower classes have been, oh, okay, well, they're rich. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
It's too much. We're all being asked to be something on all levels here. We're all being challenged by our abstract beliefs and our fundamental beliefs, and then what our realities are. This is a shift for everybody on every level. It's not just they're right, we're wrong, this is their wrong, whatever. There's a shift in abstract beliefs here, because abstract beliefs is what got us here. God did this, God did that, this one, that one. I'm sorry. I could never step into a church with some of the hateful things that most of those guys do and think that they're men of, God. But then they found out that this one was Peter denied so-and-so. This one did that. Stop it. Just stop. I mean, these people, I'm going to send you guys this. There is a funny thing about Jim Bakker. It's on YouTube. And somebody edited all of his best stuff, the Christian Jim Bakker.
I've seen it.
About God talking to him when he was in prison, when he was with his wife, Tammy. It is the best of, and it is scary to think. And then they're hawking food to give people to prepare for the return of Jesus. That people who are on, people are sending money for this. And let me tell you what the food is. It's in a bag. It's dehydrated food. There are old people ordering this crap. It's so frightening to think. America has not really challenged it. It seems to think that freedom is letting people just do whatever they want and then determine who should be charged and who shouldn't be. But I feel that people should actually start going after the FCC for allowing Fox to stay on, for allowing these shows to stay on. I think it's wrong. They get mad if I take my shirt off and show my boobs. There's something wrong with a nation that freaks out more over a nude body than it does with half of the crap that they've been saying for the last 4 years. There's a problem, and it's called white men.
Yeah. I mean, you have to, the other part of the Emmett Till murder is that the 2 white men that killed him were acquitted, okay, by 12 other white men. And when you read the transcripts and an interview with one of the jury foreman, he's like, yeah, we decided in 10 minutes, the first 10 minutes that they were acquitted. We just took an extra 10 minutes to have a soda break.
Yeah, I mean,
and so that
Enough
Yeah.
said.
cruelty. I
Enough
mean,
said.
Yeah.
Enough
it's,
said.
that's what that
Enough
is.
said.
And the other side of it is that we're coming upon some other anniversaries in September of the church bombing in Birmingham. And you realize too that a lot of children sacrificed, their lives were sacrificed during the civil rights movement. It was when I always did my research and presentations on it, I always talked about how it really was a movement for children. And you're talking about children as young as 8 up through 20. And the impact that people made, because I went to Fisk University where John Lewis went, and John Lewis was one of his things that he's known for around Nashville was trying to integrate the lunch counters there in 1960. And he was very young. He was like 19 at the time. And I think that what we have now, we don't have a movement where you have young people getting involved, but only to a point, not willing to lay down their lives.
I disagree. I think the kids during George Floyd really were out there laying down their lives. I do believe that there were children of all races involved in that. But our
the fear
kids,
of dying, I wonder if the fear of dying was the same.
the fear of dying, they're in gangs. The hell are you? They don't really. Every kid out here is ordering guns that you put together from a model printer. No. It's called laziness. It's called disrespect. It's called not having any connection to these deaths. They don't see that. They don't care about Emmett Till. They only care about it when they want to make a talking point.
I'm gonna cut it here because we can go on a while, and I just gonna I just want to catch up with comments. Christy was saying about me and my sister fight all the time. Who was better? She's a Michael fan and I'm a Prince fan. Black Beauty saying yes. And just like in 65, Americans were mostly irritated with our people for our desire for equality. And here we are in summer 2020 and America still has irritated us. Real Django, it's a freaking merry-go-round, Black Beauty. This culture refuses to learn from past mistakes. Real Django says, and then acts like we're so great when in fact America's pathetic. And he says, and don't get me on the government. It's a joke. Real Django, the law is a joke. Yeah. And Real Django says, exactly, Ms. Jones. All right. Conversation.
One last comment on this. For me, it is a really weird understanding of this because I grew up in a city that was at one point in cities that had a population of 125,000 or more was like the third most deadliest city for gun violence. But it also, in 1970, had the Black Panther trials. And so growing up in those two shadows, the fear of dying by a random bullet scared me more than probably dying as a result of any kind of protest.
Interesting. All right. Let's get to our last, as always, end off our conversations. This episode's cockroach, Christy Noem. Jill brought this person up. Jill, have at it.
Well, as we know, the bikers who were there for Sturgis, they were there, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 3-week festival. I don't know. They were unmasked. Now they're showing numbers that are 1,550% spike beyond. Their hospitals are full. This woman, in my opinion, is another failure of the American government. The United States government failed by not removing her. There should be something in place that she should have been physically removed from her location and her office because you cannot do what she just did. And I think that she should be held accountable and liable. And she should be, people should, there's as many lawyers that there are in America. Somebody will find a way to sue her personally. She should be held accountable.
What role did she have in all this, Jill?
She's a governor.
She's a governor, and she does not believe in masking, and she's catering and pandering to the Trump party. So I hope all those people who drove in, and now there are people who were not even from Sturgis, are now out there spreading Delta variant. And as I told you all today, they've recognized another layer to another strength variant from the Delta in the UK. that has been ravaging their communities again. And it is stronger than the Delta. It is an offshoot of it. And that's going to be here, if it's not already here now, because by the time when they announce it, there's something called airplanes. Remember, Aisha?
Right.
And that's what happens. It's most likely here. So someone like Kristi Noem, and these are the people who are, in my mind, the real war that was going on in America for the last couple of years, and they should be held for war crimes. And I believe that our allies in the next round, if they ask us to get involved in anything else, we should be held accountable to The Hague as well as everybody else if we go into any more treaties. And they should make us accountable as well.
They need to go
because remember,
like
Trump pardoned the people that we have had. That stupid idiot who killed that whole village. He got away with it, one of the soldiers. So we have a problem. And like I said, there's going to be a shift. This is just not America's time. Saturn is staying in I know everybody, I'm in astrology and stuff. Saturn is the time of reckoning. And when it sits in a chart, in this country's chart where it's sitting, it sits for 12 years. So it's going to be bad. And Neptune hasn't been looking too good either. And neither has Pluto. So there's a lot that America has to answer for. And when Saturn is where it is, it's called karma. It is a karmic, when people have their Saturn returns and it's sitting in your house and things like that. Some people don't survive their Saturn returns. You have one early in your life when you're like 27 or in your late 20s, 26, 20, whatever. And these are just things that happen. And they can be quite challenging. Things change very dramatically for you. And then it comes back around again. And generally around 56, 57. And I'm not trying to spook anybody. It is very interesting where the planetary alignments are with America. And now it's in Aquarius as well. There's a planet that shifted into Aquarius. Saturn has been going back and forth between Aquarius and Capricorn. And if we know anything about any Capricorn friends out there, what's the one thing about a Capricorn friend? It's about money. It's about institutions. Aquarius, if you have any Aquarius friends, let's put it into this context. They're about expansion. Let's move. Let's progress. Let's do this. So there is a real dichotomy, a polarity that's going back and forth with the shift. And that's why this is the shift.
I just say go after her with the same fervency that they went after Andrew Cuomo.
Well, they possibly can, because if we stay in Aquarius, that means somebody and people will want to change existing laws, like change. It's overhaul. It's called an overhaul.
I mean, she just did this whole thing with the masks, making it illegal to mandate masks in the schools and state agencies. I mean, she just needs to go. She's killing her people. And South Dakota only has but so many people in it, and she is killing them.
She wants to get rid of the natives, but they outsmarted her. Most of their Navajo are all vaccinated.
Yeah.
That's what she's doing.
All right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we found out that those people were driving through, or there's certain low-end tactics that have been going on. I don't know the Native community well enough to know, but I believe that that's what she was doing. Racists do all sorts of stuff.
But I promise you, the majority of those people that were at the Sturgis are going back down south, where it is
absolutely,
horribly, horribly dire straits when it comes to COVID.
I know.
Well, that's a wrap, folks.
I just want to take one second. We talk a lot about really bad people. I just want to highlight one person who has a book and who I think that people, if you don't know who she is, you might want to go read about her. Her name is Michaela DePrince, and she's an she's an African ballerina. And her story, if you want inspiration, look her up, Michaela DePrince. She came from Africa, totally rejected. In her life was very hard, if I say the least, difficult beyond what this child endured. She had vitiligo, just like Michael Jackson. Both of her parents were killed by terrorists in the Sudan or wherever she's from. And a couple from New Jersey adopted her, where in the list at the orphanage, she mentioned that on a list between 1 and 27 at the orphanage, she was number 27. The number 1 spot got the most food. So imagine where she was. They used to call her the devil's child because of the vitiligo. And all these things happened to her, horrific things I won't go into. But a white woman and her husband adopted her, and with 9 other kids that they got from Africa. And the story is so incredibly beautiful. She talks about being in Africa and a magazine flew in the wind and she saw it on a fence and it was a ballerina. She'd never seen anything like that and it made her happy. So she went to, when she met this woman, she couldn't understand her, but the woman said to her, "What do you want to do?" And she pulled this little picture she'd been saving of a ballerina, and that woman and her husband put her, and she was at the Dance Theater of Harlem, and she really did become a ballerina. And she also is one of the lead dancers for Beyonce. Her story is phenomenal. It is inspiring. It's courageous. The things this person endured, we need to hear more about these people, because what an uplifting human being from so much pain. So I'd like to also, even though we may show a cockroach here or there, I'd like to really celebrate those that really just change the balance and inspire. This child, I saw her today, I just went, this Michaela DePrince, just an incredible human being. And if we really want to talk about any God or Lord or universe, he's been with her the whole way. The whole way. Maybe not the way we think bad things, there's an angel. She has angels. And she's an angel. When you look at her, you feel them present. So her story is very important.
Thank you, Jill, for ending off our conversation on that. But we have to give a good homage to another lady. Unfortunately, folks, we are losing an unseen member of our team on the 31st of this month. There has been a lady behind the scenes named Maddie, who is an intern at a college in the Greater Toronto area where I live. And she has been doing a lot of work to help what you see. Some of it live. And if you watch the replay, she does an incredible amount of work on that with editing, audio, video wise. The little clip that you see, the opening you see at the beginning with Aisha and Jill, she did that. The clip in the middle, she did that. And we're going to be losing her. She's going back to school next week. And,
thank you, Maddie, for everything.
So much,
what
Maddie.
another beautiful person making a difference. She's one of the Gen Z and your daughter that I think are awesome.
So we are going to really, really miss you, and we are there for you any way we can support. And as you know, Maddie, I'm doing whatever I can to have you still involved with us, because you took a load of stuff out of my backpack when I had to do some other things. And I know that Aisha and Jill appreciate you very much. So we just want to wish you the best in your future endeavors. And we're here to support you whatever way we can. And Chrissy's saying she has done a great job.
She
has. She really has.
Absolutely. And I tell you that I'll say it probably every time I on a call with her to give herself, she always is smiling, and she always wants to do stuff. And we think the world. Oh, and look who's here!
Hi, Maddie.
I will miss you too. So it's we hope I'm gonna find a way. Gotta find a way. Real Django saying yep. So Matt, and this is good because Maddie, just to share you with folks, she was working full time plus doing audio and video editing for this show at the same time.
Yes, Jill, you're on mute.
She was amazing.
Yes.
Yes.
So and Blue Rain saying we miss you. So definitely, we just want to end off with that, and we're gonna find a way, somehow. We want to get you back, and we are here again to help you any way we can. So with that note, we end off as we usually do. Ladies, how can we get a hold of Jill Jones?
Jill D. Jones at Twitter.
And how do we get a hold of Aisha K. Staggers?
Aisha Staggers at Twitter. And next time we have our Ask Us Anything, somebody remind me to tell you the story about Melissa.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. And I am Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. And I am the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, host of the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Care and co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. And I am the board chair for an organization called the Global Food and Drink Initiative. It's a multimedia not-for-profit that showcases Blacks in food, wine, and drink. And I love that also, too. I'd like to thank everyone who helped make this an epic conversation. Hopefully I can give a good roll call. Black Beauty, Jane, Blue, Rains, Green-Eyed. Who else? The Inspired Thought, Christy White. We've also got the Inspired Thought, T. Stevens, and of course, Maddie. Always I end off my conversations like this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect, and remember to give yourself grace. God bless, peace to well, keep the faith, and walk good. Take care, everybody. And again, thanks for watching live, and thanks for watching on the replay and listening to the replay.